Well, good morning, sir. Now, this is March 25th. Now, yesterday we had snow, and it's like it just came up suddenly. They said we're going to have a lot of snow, and I didn't want to be snowbound like this, so I was going to go south. I figured I'd make this a business trip, and I'd go down there in North Carolina or South Carolina, wherever it appeared to be safe. I thought if need be, I'll go to South Carolina and visit my niece. But I didn't get that far. I overslept, and so it got late on me. In other words, I stopped at a shopping center and took a nap because I was tired. Now, that happens sometimes. You get tired when you drive and you have to take a nap. I used to get sleepy and didn't take the naps, and I would have accidents. But now I can drive better without getting that tired when I sleep. When I'm driving, one time I fell asleep when I was driving and I crashed into a semi truck. Um, and I told the judge in the court, I said, what happened was this truck parked in my rumble strip that was supposed to have woken me up. And that didn't do it because he was in my way and I crashed into his truck and the angel took over and made this car bounce back and forth on the wheels of the truck, and I did not clip my head off under the truck. Now, that was a miracle in itself. But so that's the way that went, and my car was totally destroyed. But I barely got a scratch. All I had was an airbag burn and just a teeny nick as a result from that airbag burn. Um, just barely noticeable. And so that airbag burn was maybe the size of a dime or a quarter or something like that on my hand. And so I really miraculously got uh, delivered or saved or um, taken care of or whatever, spared, you might say, in that accident. That could have really been bad. I would feel sorry for all of my friends and relatives if my head had got decapitated there. And that would have been something somebody would have had to live with the rest of their life thinking about that. Well, um, so that didn't happen, and I'm still here. And even yesterday down in Danville, when I decided to come back, the roads were treacherous. And it was like either go that way or this way to get away from it. And then somehow I felt if I went ahead and went north, I'd get out of it. It was not going to get worse, and I was right. How I got that feeling, I don't know, but um, it was just nothing but rain down there, and then suddenly it turned cold and it snowed a bit and just made the roads a sheet of ice, black ice that is, and people were crashing everywhere. I had to think about the verse that said, 1,000 will fall by your right hand and 10,000 at your left, and no plague shall come nigh thy dwelling. I went through there without a scratch, and all these cars, not everybody crashed, but of course, but there was just cars everywhere just spinning around and crashing, and fortunately I didn't meet up with anybody that was doing that. But there was even a tractor trailer that jackknifed there. But my dwelling would be my body and my car, and God spared me because I had the faith. Now, some people have faith for something else, and I don't. And I have faith for that, and someone else don't. I got off of my story about my sleepiness, but I'll just finish this. uh, we should all have, and we do have, our faith for certain things, and we should not judge one another for not having faith the way we have faith, because all of our faith is different. But anyway, so this woman I met in Harrisonburg one day, I was telling her about my sleepiness problem, and she said she was going to pray for me. Well, guess what? The very time that she did that, I was on my way to Wisconsin. Well, she told me to stop at her house. So I did. Because I met her at Rockingham County Fair, and I told her I was going to Wisconsin to a wedding. And because my nephew was getting married in Wisconsin. So then, as I was going, I stopped at her house. I had never been to her house before. I didn't even know this woman, but she told me that she was my cousin, my dad's first cousin, actually. Um, but I met her at the Rockingham County Fair, and I don't even remember what her name is, actually. But so I stopped at her house, and she prayed for me. At first, she wanted me to have this herbal stuff that would help me not be sleepy, she claimed. Well, I was skeptical about that kind of stuff to start with, but then I read on the ingredients and said it had soy in it, and certain types of soy I am terribly allergic to, and some of it I'm not. So I told her I cannot take the stuff. Um, so she said, "Well, can I pray for you?" I said, "Sure, you can do that." I mean, I was a little skeptical about that, but guess what? I don't have the problems with sleepiness like I used to since she did that. Although on that trip, somehow I still was sleepy and I slept, and just like that, I slept. Instead of sleeping 1 hour like I had intended, I slept about 8 hours. And so there was no way I was going to get to Wisconsin in time for that wedding. And so I just canceled that trip, went to Michigan instead. Had a good time in Michigan. I need to go to Michigan again sometimes to be, my cousins up there, they're a lot of fun to be with. So anyway, down in Danville, oh yeah, Danville. The cars were just crashing around me, and I mean, well, I ran into the area where they were crashed already. Thankfully, I did not have them crashing around me. That would have been kind of scary. Um, but maybe I was already off of that part of the story. So anyway, the snow is good for the garden, they say. Now, when the snow comes and it makes a pile of ice on the garden, and then it slowly melts into the garden. That's what they say is good for the garden. So if you've already planted your garden, like you could have planted your peas and your potatoes and your radishes and your lettuce and your onions, early stuff like that, you could have planted already. And this snow comes along, you think this snow is going to be bad for my garden. Well, the truth of the matter is, it actually protects your garden. And then when it melts, it slowly melts, and it makes a nice, wet garden for your early garden. And then your early garden is going to really enjoy that. So don't be afraid of the snow for your garden. But I'll talk about the garden in another video. I think this is enough for this one. Thank you for listening one more time.